So some really, really notable things in this session for Millie that I want you guys to practice at home. So a big piece of our session was working with her coping and separation. When I had brought her into the training ring, I put her in this crate to get her harness set up and adjusted for her since I had used it for another dog earlier that week, so I was getting it sized to her. And her being in the crate created a lot of distress. So then I wanted to work through that barrier with her. She knows hand target, she knows sit, and she knows what she is supposed to do. But you can see in this equation with adding the crate, which she had been in and been separated from myself, as well as having the lack of control of her space, created a lot of distress. So that's where you're seeing the ears that flicker around a lot. She sits on the outside of it and kind of looks at the hand and shuts down. At this point, I had built up her being able to go in and out and in and out, and she was having a lot more confidence with it. And then once she had sat for quite a while, I had released her and we were able to move about. She tends to reset and have that kind of barrier and mental distress again. So, a huge thing I want you guys to do this week is work with her going in and out of a space where she's typically separated from you guys. Hopefully, you guys do have a crate of some sort. Obviously, this one's really nice because the top opens, the side stays open, but you can see there's a very, very, very clear distress knowing that it can close up for her. So I even got to the point where I went inside of the crate with her and she was just like, what? What? So I wanted it to become less distressing. And I would like you guys to start utilizing the crate with doorways and her barking and creating that, like, you go here, you sit here, and this is our task for this moment. So once she was flowing in and out of the crate and sitting and waiting, I moved it over and had it so that she couldn't necessarily see the doorway. I had Mika, my student, knock on it a few times. She remained in that place, which was awesome. I was able to kind of cue her and move about the room to sit and wait. And then what we started to do is once she was out and about, kind of sniffing around, I would have Mika knock and I would cue her to go to place and she would remain there. Then I really layered her socialization on top of this. So at one point, once she gets really good and solid with her weight, like right here, you could see she does really awesome. From a distance, I kind of start tossing some cookies so that it creates that like jackpot point of the blanket in the crate rather than like I am a jackpot point that she has to come to get a reward. So there I could see once I open the door, there's distress because she's like, oh no, you're going to be leaving. So this is where I hand the leash over to Mika, my student. I tell Millie, wait, and I step out of the doorway. And what I want for her is to be able to take coaching from anyone who is giving her the cues. So you could see when it's just them two in the room, she does pretty well, a little distressed, listening to when I'll come back. You'll see when I come back, there's a big divide. She gets the tail, obviously, her body language, she becomes almost very reverted in her interaction with somebody new. You could see she wants to come and greet me. I ignore her completely in this process. You could see I am facing sideways to her, being very neutral. We're waiting for her to go back into the crate and sit and wait, and then she gets rewarded. So what I want you guys to do is I can't imagine we have too many people coming in and out of your home right now just because this whole COVID thing is fluctuating so wildly. But I do want you guys to practice between you two. Switch off, take turns, coaching her to go to a spot. One of you goes out. When you come back in, ignoring her, making sure she remains in that spot. And I know this is probably something that you have been doing. But you could see that whole chunk of time before we went outside and did Come When I Call You here was about 45-minute duration. It was a big barrier for her to break through that stress and that coping. I want you guys to work a little bit with it, get to a successful point with her, and then take a break to help solidify that learning process for her. But yes, it is a bit of a struggle working through the stress factor for her, but have a mission, have a clear expectation, and she will be successful. So Come When I Call You is one of her favorite things to work on now. The hand target for her is pretty solid. So I brought her out to the grass area on a long line. What I'm waiting for is for her to be looking away from me, or I ask her sit and wait, and then I drop my hand and say here. She tags it. I ask for the sit again. I reward. What I want to get to with her is when she tags the hand, she sits and waits, and then we can pet her before we reward. Oh my God. But I do notice that she does that bounce away, that little bunny hop back. So, again, I introduce another person into this equation. I want her to take cues and do the same behavior with new people because, again, she's fast, she's small. If she ever were to get out, I want someone to be able to drop their hand and she would approach them. So we let her run around and get kind of crazed, and then we would call Millie here, and she, boom, targets the hand. Super awesome. And again, we end on a super happy note here for her. But yeah, so these are going to be like two of your main things to practice this week. Forever the doorway and the barking. She did not bark when we did the knocking, this exercise. So that was super stellar. And I think I had given you, Erica, some of the Stop That spray. So you can say quiet if she barks and utilize that. Spray it. And you don't have to spray it at her. But just like so she can clearly hear it nearby is preferable. And then this Come When I Call You practice, you guys can attach like two leashes together and do hide and seek in the house when you're out, maybe on a walk, doing a little bit of this. And I know we didn't do too much walking practice in this session with her and socialization. I think the big thing I wanted to work on with her was once I saw how distressing the crate was and that separation, really, really working her through that. So you can refer to one of your prior sessions, like the last session for your walking practice this week. So looking at kind of creating this ecosystem of confidence for her. And I think overall she is coming along very nicely. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how she progresses this week at home with her homework. And I will set up our time for this following week to work with her. Hope you guys are having a good weekend, and I will talk to you soon.